It's here. That'll be it. The audio thing.
Oh, cool. So I started this project, and I was trying to get myself to draw every day. So I was like, if I just write a comic about my day every day, then I'll like have a reason to, keep up with the practice. So I started doing daily comics every day, just like journal writing. And then I did it for a couple of years. And then eventually I had like hundreds of them. Mm. So I put them into a book. And these are some of them. Here, I'll read this one. I feel so gross. I keep washing my face, but I can't get rid of this layer of sweat and grease that makes my glasses slide down my nose. And it's giving me acne. Oh my God, I'm getting mouth faced from the Adderall. I have an Adderall prescription, but I still feel like a drug addict taking it because because I enjoy it so much. I also got it from one of those telehealth pill mills that always advertise on Instagram. I got a great class action lawsuit settlement from that. Plus, every time I get a pimple, I think I'm developing monkeypox. Oh God, I don't want a pox. I refuse to cut the nails on my right hand because I'm trying to learn guitar, but they look so gross. Is this a sign that I'm malnourished? Am I jaundiced? No, it's just the lighting in this bathroom. I go through this every time I'm in there. Besides the physical, I feel spiritually ugly. Lately this summer, the archetypes I feel like I embodied the most are lecherous cartoon wolf and Midwestern meth guy. Which usually I'm okay with, but it is beginning to wear on me. Maybe I just need to do something wholesome, like go to church. So I went to the Met at 10 a.m. I forgot they moved my favorite painting. Excuse me, did they move the Dream of the Shepherd? Or is it gone? And then this security guy is like, it used to be here. It's in the hall now. I could show you, follow me. I'm like, oh, there it is. Thank you so much. Thank God. And then I stare at the painting and I think maybe I'm just dehydrated. So then I walk around the Upper East Side, new goal of finding the big Vita Coco for less than $7. So that's that. I just made 1 million of these. Like,
did you said for a couple years, did the pandemic, did lockdown influence you to work more?
Yeah, I definitely worked on it a lot during lockdown. I started in 2018 when I was still in school. I went to SVA and then I just kept doing it. During lockdown, it was like there's nothing going on and I just like need to occupy myself. And so they all kind of I do like a lot of detail and they look very scratchy and I love text. And that's why I like the rapidograph because you can get really small with it. Mm-hmm. I actually try not to do that many details, but every time I start, I just like can't stop. It's like go into tunnel vision.
Yes, but you, except for a couple frames, you're doing light effects. You keep your central character really like unmolested by those little lines.
Yeah, what I do is kind of like start from when I'm penciling, I just draw the most important thing in the panel, like the character, or like if there's something I really want to show the viewer, I draw that first. And then I just kind of like go outwards from it so that it doesn't, legibility is really important and also hard to do.
Like bottom frame is really full of detail with the cat, the girl, the dog, the porch. Those are like anchoring, those are the images that you're not losing.
Yeah. And
I've always wondered if people who don't hatch their figures much but love line work, if they have to, clamp their hand down to keep themselves from rendering the figures.
Yeah. It's hard for me. Mm-hmm. I want to like just go in and like do everything. It's like figuring out a puzzle, like when you're doing it. And then something I do a lot too is like I have a kind of like a template. Like I always want the text to be in the top corner, or I always want like, things to move right to left and like the 4 panels. So that's kind of like when I start drawing, it's like I already know this is gonna be 4 panels or square. I already know where the text is gonna go. I already know this. So when you
This is a
start,
complete page then.
yeah,
It's not like a towel, it's not an 8.5 by 11 format.
no, I have like a square sketchbook, so that like limits me when I'm doing these.
Mhm.
So I draw the outline, and those like rules for myself kind of help me like stay within the balance.
When you say that you start with the stuff you want us to focus on, you make it sound like you're not doing thumbnails.
I don't always, I usually do like a bullet point list. Sometimes I'll do like a really fast thumbnail that's just like, no one else can read it. But mostly like I'll overwrite, like write every single thing that I'm thinking about. And then I'll go back and I'll pick out like the most important things from that, like and make a bullet point list of like how many panels I want. And then sometimes I'll do thumbnails, but usually I just like start penciling. And my pencils are also really fast, like just stick figures and like this is where this is. And then most of the like I do most of it in the inking. Yeah.
I have this, I'll see if I have this note that I put on my desk, which is make things get denser in the midground, which is something I've had a lot of trouble with because like the lines, unlike you, that gets really busy.
Mhm.
And I love that your stuff, it's one of the reasons I wanted to ask you in. It's like, I love the way that you're able to pull like the whole world into your frames and add detail and add texture and add the lines that build up, and it never gets confusing. Or if it is overlapping, it becomes a little bit unclear. It's unclear the way a photograph. Oh, you're not gonna be able to make out everything in the world in a photograph of a real event.
Yeah. It's a lot about like using like black and white, like not letting myself put lines on myself here. And then like the liner on the cat, like keeping that separate, like large areas of black and large areas of white. And then like the rest I can just let myself.
Were you, I know we're waiting us to hook up the mics, is that you? Yeah. We can do that. How are you all able to hear okay in the back?
Yeah.
Would be better with the mic?
Is there something,
If we don't need it, I guess we're good then.
but you just, you're not on.
I thought when I saw that they didn't have wires coming out of them, I just assumed, I'm sorry.
No, shit.
I'm so sorry, man, I made you come all the way here.
No, that's no problem.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
One thing I know about you guys.
Yeah.
So loud.
It just encourages like a sense of showmanship, doesn't it? You're about to bust into
Yeah.
karaoke song.
Okay. Here's some more comics. Yeah, so I have like these are my more recent ones, and they're very dense. And then I switched to pencil to try and like, because I thought it would help me be less dense. And the eraser gives you like so much power.
Wow.
Like when I'm doing the pen drawings, I white out like all over the page. Like there's so much white out. And I'll go over it like over and over again and draw the same thing 10 times. And the white out is like centimeter thick. Hey.
Or just a question. For the pen drawing, like I feel like you just use like the same thickness or over. Is there like a specific reason, or you just prefer?
I guess I just like it. Yeah, I like that I know what I'm getting.
Mm.
And it's like the rapidograph, like that's all it can do. So it's like a cool limitation to work with.
Did it have anything to do with the training that you got? I know that like Warren Feinstein told me once that she drew with Chrome and that he wouldn't use a different pen. He would instead go back over his line and thicken it. I've always remembered that.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah, when I was in school, I learned about the rapidograph, and I don't know, I just like, I fell in love with it. I like that it's consistent and like, well, and it's also like not consistent in the same way because it's like, it will explode on the page or it'll get clogged. So there's like some element of like, you don't know what you're getting, but when it works, it works.
So apparently, if you have a rapidograph that's not working, you can call up the company and say, and tell them that it's damaged, and they'll send you a new one or a new interior for $5.
Oh, wow.
But I had students who've done it, and then I tried to do it and got too greedy, and they wouldn't do it for me. I was like, I have 3 rapidgraphs, and they like blew me right off. So if you do it, just do it with one, I guess.
I'm gonna try that because
I'll send you the info.
I have like 3 that have just, you know, they're like in pieces.
Now, did you do pencil, go to rapidograph, then come back to pencil? Because I thought I saw earlier stuff that was pencil.
I mostly, when I started doing pencil,
It's in the Froggy World comic or Angel, like.
yeah, this is, the rapidograph ones were newer. This is older. This is from like a couple of years ago. These are from Froggy World.
But you said you went back to pencil recently?
Or no, I like kind of started, actually I did go back. I kind of switched on and off.
Yeah. This is great.
But when I initially started doing pencil, I was like, all right, I'm getting too crazy with the lines. Like, I need to, it's a lot about efficiency. Like, it takes me so long to draw these things. And so I'm always trying to like do it faster. And avoid going into like the tunnel vision. So yeah, I started doing this with pencil. I use like the Blackwing pencils. I don't know if you've tried them. They're so good. You don't have to press super hard.
What do they call it? Black Wings?
Yeah, they're great. And what I do is just like draw it in pencil and then put it on the computer and like bump up the contrast so it looks super black and white. Yeah, and then I was like, all right. Oh yeah, I included this one because I wanted to show another thing I started to do for efficiency is just I started doing these like photo backgrounds. I got this little receipt printer that prints out like little photos. And I was like, if I can just, you know, paste in the background, that'll save me a lot of time.
It's literally a receipt printer?
Yeah, it's like it's like a little square and like you can connect your phone to it and like it prints out like a little, it's like a heat printer, like there's no way. Awesome.
Did you get that for comics festivals?
No, like I got it like to do this.
Okay.
Yeah, so
But this looks like you're switching back and forth between pen and pencil, am I right?
yeah. This is after I did those pencil ones. Yeah, I go back and forth.
But it's mid-story. If you go back one, isn't it pencil at top? Oh, no, I'm wrong. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is bad.
Yeah, I thought those top 2 panels were pencil.
Oh yeah, no, just let it cross hatching. So yeah, photos. Okay, so these are like my really early ones. This is one I wrote when I started doing the autobio project, so I'll read it. I found a diary in the trash on 22nd Street. It belonged to a young boy living in Tarrytown. He wrote these beautiful but nearly legible cursive. In the back, he listed all the plays he saw that year. I wonder if he's still alive. I love him. Although dull, the book is fascinating because of its age. Sometimes, all the time, I feel like I'm just making art so that after I die, there will be something left of me in the world. And it says, welcome to my beautiful diary that someone will love in 100 years. So yeah, like finding this diary in the trash really made me want to like keep doing autobio comics. But when I started, they were a lot less dense. These are some other earlier ones. I just like filling the page. Like I love the feeling of like when everything is totally covered in pen. Oh, so Josh asked me to show some of my earlier work. This is something I made in college. It's a comic called Chris Taekwondo and the Millennium Bug. And it's about this kid who works at a liquor store, and then he meets this old guy, and they bond over, they believe that the world will end on New Year's on 2000. So they go to accomplish their dreams, which is making an art form, because they think they're gonna die in the next week. And then they accidentally like murder all the actors for the porn. And then their roommate like goes to destroy the art form because he shows it to him. They're like, this is like evidence, like he used my video camera for this. And then they see it burning and they're like drinking in the woods and they think the world is ending because like the woods are on fire. So it's like stupid. This is like one of the first comics I ever wrote when I was in school.
Do you feel like it's because SVA really, like, the model they set up is like the artist writer, the person who's writing fiction and coming up with stories with a plot? Do you feel like that vision was really in your head, or did you feel like you came along with that idea?
Like of writing the whole story. And
did you feel like you kind of had this idea that a cartoonist, this is what was expected of you, that you were supposed to be doing make up stories and plots?
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I like writing fiction, but it's hard. Like I don't know. This just like came to me. I'm like, no one knows about it. And I wanted to show it because like I totally forgot about it for the past 10 years, but like this is what I started doing.
Yeah. Some panels are reminding me more of your current work than others. You go back one, there's something in that second page, especially panel 2. It just feels like there's little gestures which are really evident in your new work and the rendering in that top panel.
Yeah.
Other stuff I would never know was your work.
And this one I did with like some kind of like a flare pen or it's like a felt tip pen. And I guess you could see it like in the text. I think the photograph is like so good for writing text because it just looks so like mechanical. And then
Wow.
this is like after I wrote that, like this is my like thesis project at SVA. I just like went all in and I made this like paint at least like gouache and like collage elements. And this is a adaptation of God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. It's a Kurt Vonnegut book. Did you have to do the thesis project at SVA or do you adapt the book?
Something was mixed up, it was different, and it was similar, like they gave us, yes, we did Frankenstein, I think. I don't know if it's the same assignment, and it might have been, that was junior year, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they assign a project across the year. And of course, I mean, you're like, Frankenstein could be anything. I could tell a story about autumn and say like Frankenstein is a story of transformation, and so is autumn, or the dead come alive in Frankenstein. And so if you could talk well, you could justify what you've done. I think that was the same structure.
Yeah. So we just has like adapt the book, and I spent so much time on this. Like it took me so long, and it was fun.
How many pages?
I think 26, and they're all like painted and like pasted together. Like I built this like clay model on the right, and like a phone booth, and I was doing that for some of it.
How hard was the grind for you during that year?
The grind.
of doing this and your for your senior thesis. Wait, sorry, this is your junior thesis or senior thesis?
This is my junior year.
I like broke my foot because I exhausted myself
Oh my
so
God.
much. Yeah, like trying to do the thing where I'm like staying up till 4 a.m. and like I think I would work on this school premises and stumble back home. And I was so out of it, I broke my foot, which is,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's like that dream of like being a student and like thinking, well, this is a time when I'm supposed to grind myself to a nub. And there's kind of a romanticism to that.
Yeah.
And looking back, I mean, you know, it's a little bit like a boot camp mentality that I think is sort of toxic. What was your experience like?
Oh yeah, I was like in the same place. Like I would just stay up all night, and I still kind of work like that. Like whenever I have a project, I'm just like, I don't know. There's something about working at night that like no one will bother you, so it's like your time. So I still kind of I've not outgrown that.
I bet you'd be able, I know a lot of people who work that way and who have that same instinct, and they eventually find they're able to rechannel themselves and do it in the morning if they need to.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm the same way, but I have a voice in my head saying, I can do this. I can, there's advantage in like this class is at 9 a.m. and it used to be at 4 p.m. And we should have a Friday night class, so it's like 4 p.m. till 9:40. And now it's like 9 a.m. till 2:45. And it's been good for the students, surprisingly good for me. Anyways, this is great.
Yeah, this is I wrote this like right after I graduated school after the thesis project. So that after that filtering, which was so intense, I was like, I just want to I wrote this in like a week. I just want to make the comic as fast as I can. So this is like a 20-page theme that I just like, you know, was trying to be really efficient with it. It's about getting hit by a car on your bike.
I remember you reading this, it was great.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you read this at last year.
I picked a beach.
Yeah, I don't remember it was in color.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of my, so that's just like it's kind of like the trajectory. I always just like trying different things and trying to make the process more efficient, but also sticking to the aesthetic that I like. So this is the more recent one I did for Smoke Signal. This like I did this earlier this year. And it's a newspaper size. It's about Broadway Junction, the train station. We've ever been there. Stretches. And that's all the slides I have.
So this is coming out, or this is already?
This came out already.
So how many of you know about Desert Island? Desert Island Bookstore, Brooklyn. Oh, see a couple people nodding. So it's a really good resource for cartoonists. The guy who owns it, he actually talked here last year. Keith's class, Keith. And it is he's like a publisher and a book owner. His book is kind of an art project. We carries only independent and alternative comics. And
You could just bring your comics there and we'll solve them.
it's and so they've been at the same spot right near the L Metropolitan stop for like 15 years. And then his landlord announced that they got an offer to put a liquor store in and they're going to double the rent. So he's always done these books, and I don't understand his business model, but he's like willing to lose money.
Yeah, that's so.
And he gives away this newspaper for free. It's got some of the best cartoonists in the world in it. And
It's printed like 1 million copies. It's away.
And he said when he lost it, when his lease was threatened, he did a GoFundMe and he raised 100,000, no more, like 140,000 in like a week. And now and then he was like, well, his quote was, shoveling all this money into the mouth of my landlord doesn't feel like a win. So he got another offer like a block away and he got a 10-year lease. And it's just a real kind of very 2024 success story.
Yeah. That was like a miracle. So I was like so devastated when they said they were closing.
I mean, people have resources here, and if you've made friends and connections, you put feelers out and you're really community oriented. Not that surprised that it happened.
Yeah, I'm glad that they like tried to find another space, because it seemed like at a certain point they were just like, well, this is the end.
We were talking about, we can like over here. So I can put this on YouTube later if the recording turns out okay. We were talking about school, and you said your teachers were Gary Panter, Warren Weinstein. Who's the other one? Oh, Seth the Bachman, all the Punkus teachers. So we both went to SVA. And Gary, like, what was so how many people here know Gary Panter's work? That happens a lot. I mean, I'm always surprised, but I mean, these people are super legends. My students tend not to know who Raymond Pettibone is either, who I think of as being a household name. But Gary Panter, he designed Pee-wee's Playhouse. This is one of his big claims to fame. He designed a lot of early punk album covers, like the Screamers, and kind of a legend. And he's sort of like somebody who bridged the worlds between commercial stuff, personal stuff, comics, and painting. And he's kind of like a modern primitivist. I read an interview with him years ago where he said that he tells his students, don't think of what you're putting down on the paper with a pen or a pencil as a line. He's like, I tell them to call them marks, because he feels like it's coming more from more from a deeper place, more primordial place.
Mm-hmm.
I always remember that, even though I'm not a huge fan of people saying, don't use this word, use this word. And is that pretty typical of kind of lessons that you got from him?
Yeah, totally. I feel like one of the things I learned a lot from him is to, like, he has a way of like not taking things seriously, but also like taking them seriously. Like, there's just no stress about making comics. Like, and I'm always stressed about making comics. I don't know, he had a way of like loosening my perspective on like whatever I was doing to realize like what's important and what's not. Yeah, he was a great teacher. And just like encouraged me to like do whatever. Like, I did this project that I never finished, where I was trying to make like a wooden comic that, those things at a playground that you turn, it's like XO, tic-tac-toe.
Oh yeah.
And you like turn them around. So I tried to make a comic like that was in the structure of one of those, but the panels each had 3 sides and they would like rotate. So there were like 3 different stories, but they could all be combined. I never finished it, but I spent like half of his class just like sawing wood, like clamps to the table to like build this thing.
Did he give you, like, it sounds like a lot of stuff rubbed off on you via osmosis almost, but do you feel like he gave you the secrets of how he works, how he does midtones? Midtones are really similar.
I feel like we didn't talk so much about like drawing itself. More just about like story. I feel like he was very encouraging of like however you want to draw, it's like how you should draw, like whatever comes to you. It's kind of the primitive thing.
He told me once, he goes, whatever you want to do, I'm an advocate of it. Because I didn't have him as a teacher, but he used to come into the comic store I worked at. And I was able to Cosmic Comics. It doesn't exist anymore. Oh. And yeah, I'm sure he went to every comic store in the city, and yeah, I always remember that phrase. I use it a lot with my students.
Yeah, he was a great teacher.
And Warren too. I mean, you're kind of like a wolf child raised by Warren and Gary, as from the way your work looks.
Yeah, Lauren is really zooming in.
Oh yeah, like my device. does that. I can't get rid of it. It's a new iPad and it zooms in no matter what you do. Yeah, it's really weird. It stays right on your face. I tried to Google how to get rid of it.
It's the future.
It's either that or broken screen.
Yeah, yes. This is an improvement over the broken screen, and my battery doesn't just last an hour. Do you know Lauren's book, Inside Vining Land?
Yeah.
That's my favorite book. Well, that and Ordinary Person are my two favorites of her work.
Yeah, I really like Inside Bodyland. When I was going to school and I was just making, like when I was making those early things that I showed you, before I met Laura, and like everyone was like, oh, you have to take Lauren's class, like you just like your work is so much like hers, and I hadn't seen it before that. And then when I met her and I like found her work, I was like, oh my God, like there's a model for like what I want to do, and like it can exist, you know?
Yeah.
She's a really good like role model.
Inside Vining Land should be, I hope more people discover it. I had my students at Rutgers do book reports, and I had a copy of it that they could check out, and they would really get into it. What did you, when you came into the school, who were your influences?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess I was a really big fan of Tank Girl.
Mhm.
What else? I didn't know that many comics before I started going to school for comics. I found out a lot of stuff like while I was in school in like the library, just like reading everything.
The library's great there.
Yeah. And then like I found Linda Barry and she was really like inspirational. Those comics are so good. And another when I was like a freshman, I read 1-800-Mice by Matthew Thurber, and I was like, this is like the best thing I've ever read. Like it's so good. That was really influential to me.
Sorry if this is too inside baseball with SVA stuff, but did you have a teacher who took you to the library and was like, use this resource?
Yeah.
Which one?
I feel like multiple. Like we would just have drawing classes in the library. It's such a great library.
Yeah.
They have a great comics collection.
Yeah, because they don't have a great workspace for cartoonists, so that ends up being the best studio you can have, and you have the scanners there and everything too. Parsons not that bad for finding workspaces if you need them. Where do you all like to work?
Fifth floor.
Fifth floor.
I work in the design lab on the 10th floor at Parsons usually. Those tables, I'm fairly short and my torso is shorter. And those are just low enough to where it doesn't feel like my elbows are higher up than my shoulders when I draw. And also 301 has a 24/7 art room. And it is very good, especially during like finals season. It's crowded during final season, but it's when everybody's just as desperate as you are to do the work, and like it almost feels like, oh, I'm not gonna like go comatose alone in my room working on this for hours. So yeah.
Is that the third floor? You said third floor, right?
It's on the second floor of 301.
It's
It's at the one.
Yeah.
To dorm. What's that space in our building in 213th Street? I think it's on the second or third floor.
That's the making sense.
It is the making center.
Yeah, usually fashion students tend to populate it the most because that's where the sewing machines are, and they have a lot of dress forms. But if you get there early enough, you're gonna get a spot.
It's pretty gorgeous. They have this. It's like you feel like you're in a big, like kind of a nice, like they have these big wooden tables. It's just pencil. What about, will they get mad at you if you use pen and ink?
If you have an ink, like if you have ink separate from a pen, definitely. Because there's a sign at the beginning that says, I don't think it says no art materials, but I think it like is,
It basically says that.
yeah. So basically anything that could ruin a book, don't have in the library, but I've never been stopped before and I use acrylic paint pens, but,
As long
yeah.
as it doesn't look like an art material, you're fine. As long as you don't have a paintbrush with you could use like marker, but it's more limited. I usually go to the center, because then you also have access to the tool checkout. To do like real-time video stuff, so like that's what they stored yesterday.
This is still the second floor, though, not,
Yeah,
not,
still the second floor.
so they
Because
call it,
one side is the quiet side where the sewing machines are, where people tend to be drawing or doing like traditional art.
Yeah.
And the other side is the making center, the wood shop, and that will get loud.
loud. But don't they also call the 10th floor the making center?
That's
the
the
design
lab.
Design lab. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The design lab also has many different, what's it called?
Yeah,
Those like mandolin cutter things. They also, yeah, they have guillotines as well. So when you're cutting paper and when you're like pasting like books together, comics together,
Yeah.
that's really nice because then I don't have to spend like so much time gridding and cutting along like a pencil line with like a ruler and all that stuff. It's a lot easier. I also work in the cafeteria, the long tables that face the
Yeah.
windows.
Yeah, it's loud in there too, though.
It is, but if I'm wearing my own headphones.
That's why God invented noise
Yeah,
cancellation.
like, usually it's like headphones, like music, and also I monopolize 2 seats, and not just one.
Yeah,
And I'm usually there like early in the morning, the moment the UC opens, so nobody has enough like social leeway to be like, hey, I'm trying to eat some food in the cafeteria, and it's like, I've been here for hours, so I'm not easily kicked out of that space once I'm in there.
do you, I know that like you're, you know that thing, the thing they're talking about, the guillotines?
Oh, yeah.
That's, sorry, I wish I'd known about that years ago, because having that little extra bit of paper stick out the side from a distance, you don't think that's going to bother you. After years of printing, it really bothers me. I look back on old zines and I'm like, why couldn't I fix that?
God, I wish I had access to one of those, like, so bad. I didn't print this. Andrew Alexander did not. It's like, he has like a paper cutting machine that you put it in and like you set, and it just automatically, like the knife goes down. It's like a,
Yeah, it's like a laser thing.
it's so cool.
Yeah, laser precise. Yeah, we have one of those too. So about to ask you, oh, what's next for you? Are you getting attention from like Toronto Quarterly or somebody like that?
I have I've been like emailing this press about maybe putting out a longer Froggy World book.
Sorry, which one? Or you don't, oh, a press, you don't want to say.
Yeah, I don't know how sure I am about it yet.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know, like, nothing is like set in stone yet. And I'm also not sure if I want to do more before I put out like a full collection. Like, I feel like there needs to be just more comics. So I'm hopefully doing like a volume 2 of this with Cram. And then we'll see like what happens.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like opportunities are definitely more there than they used to be. It used to seem impossible to make connections with publishers and get those tools in your hand. And now the more you're around, the more you see it's people like us who are doing it. And you see that you can meet those people. They are like bigger fish. And there's starting to be things like, did you see that Carolyn Cash and also Enlightened Transsexual Sam Saba?
Oh yeah, I love her comics.
They both started to have work at this featured thing that MoMA is doing.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
I mean, that's just, I mean, these things, they come up and then they flare away, but it's good to see them coming up again, where they're starting, like the New Yorker was running comics for a while. They had all the, legendaries early 2000s people. They had Hernandez brothers and Quowles and I'm trying to think if they had women. They had doing like serialized comic, and then eventually they lost the funding for it.
I don't, yeah, it's good that like the comics community is like So
Hey guys, I'm so sorry. Can maybe it's trying to be a little bit distracting. Maybe take it outside if you're gonna talk. Please.
yeah, the comics community is just so like, I don't know, it's like small, but also like everyone like it's present. Like I know so many people who do comics now, and like once you just start like talking to people, you kind of like opportunities open up and like
What's been your experience at the festivals?
I just went to SPX for the first time this year. I went to like Comic Arts Brooklyn in like 2020. I missed that one. But I don't go to a lot of conventions because I work at a restaurant and I have to like call out for the weekend.
Yeah,
So um I really it's overwhelming, but I had a really good time. It was definitely like I'm glad I went. It was really cool. I didn't know what to expect because I don't know like I don't know if I sold well or like sold poorly because I just don't have any frame of reference because I don't usually go to these things. Um, but it was really fun and like you just meet so many people. I would like try and walk around and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go around to everyone's table. And then I would just get so overwhelmed, like, oh my God, there's so many people. But it was fun.
Um, let's see. Did you like make any connections with somebody that you've always wanted to talk to?
I met a lot of people that I had only like known from the internet and like talking to people. And then I was like, oh yeah, I know your work. Like once
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know their name, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen your comics like on Instagram. It was really cool. Um, I would highly recommend like going to a comics convention if you can. Um, it's like, yeah, it's good, especially like SPF. I also went to Picto Beach. That one is cool. It's like really chill.
We oh yeah, of course, that's why I saw you. Yeah, they say that like they're really uncontaminated by like corporate interests for the most part. It's like people who are around in the old days are like, oh, this is what comics were like when they were nerdy in the 70s. And it's more of a community.
Mhm.
So compared with, I've never been to like a big festival like in New York Comic Con,
Oh my God, it's so scary.
right? Yeah, but we do see people from the alternative community coming there eventually, you know. Some of
Yeah,
them do well.
it was I went like once while I was at SBA and I got like a free pass through the school and I was there for like 15 minutes and they're just like people everywhere, like you can't move. Everyone's in costumes, like not everyone, but like it's just too much going on. And I was there for like 15 minutes. Then I was like, I have to leave. Like I this is like I don't have the capacity.
Did you want to try to do a drawing demo or is that too much pressure?
Yeah, I'll do a drawing demo.
So I do these a lot for my class. And so the system I use is I go on Zoom. I might need to quit your. I hit stop share.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be what other teachers do is they'll set up a camera, but I continue to use Zoom. Okay, I'm gonna go Zoom, share, screen, start. And if you face that way, it'll be it'll be right side up. Whoop.
Okay, what are we drawing?
Any requests? Draw something you're comfortable drawing, figure in an environment.
Okay. Um,
So this is the rapidograph. And did you end up getting it working?
uh, I hope so. Let's see.
Cool.
Okay, this is me.
And if this was a comic, you'd have like a ghost pencil line down, right?
What? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. when I pencil something, I'll just show you over here. Like I do like, oh man, I gotta get another pen. This one's like dying.
And let me know if you want to use any of mine.
Okay. Yeah, my pencils are all just like, okay, here's the two people, here's the panel, there's two speech bubbles, and then like this is the horizon line. Like I never do anything more than that really. I just go over it in head.
And the balloon is like, your balloon is just a placeholder. You're gonna probably go beyond the expanses of that balloon too.
Yeah, I spend so much time like trying to fit text into the top of the panel.
That's interesting you said that. That was something that I heard from uh, Bill Griffith. He said that I talked to him years and years ago outside Desert Island after an opening, and he said that he missed. I asked him about his lettering. I can't remember why, and he said that he missed that comics used to always have the text in the upper third, and they thought something was lost when the balloon started to drift all over the frame, which is more dynamic, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
And I always love that because there is such a symmetry to those old comics that is partially, the result of always having the top third be there for text. I tend to do the same thing.
Yeah, I really like that. I like rules like that because my drawings are so chaotic. If I have something like that, like the text has to be in the top quarter, or like the limitations of when you have two characters on the page and one of them is talking, like one of them has the person who's talking first has to be on the left because their speech bubble is there.
Yes, where were they? I had that discussion right before lunch with the student.
Really. Things like that are really, really helpful to me to just like, because then you have the information already and then you're like, all right, how do I put this together?
Were you very conscious of the 180-degree rule?
Yes, I was so conscious. Like I think about it all the time. It's so like ingrained in me.
Me and my partner, me and Hyena, we talk about the 180-degree rule so much that she came up with this tattoo that we're supposed to get, which is like it's like the 180-degree rule is a heart and it's broken. So it's about it's how we're on opposite sides of the discussion, because she believes that you can break the 180-degree rule if you do it right. And I've argued against that. And eventually she kind of won me over, but she has this high concept, one broken 180-degree rule tattoo concept that we're supposed to both invest in. So so my class knows this rule. It's hard to explain, but the 180-degree rule is this theory that there's an invisible line, and I can illustrate it a lot better with a diagram, but it's if you cross it, forward, backwards, left, and right lose all meaning. So if you it's something you see in film as well. It's possible to break it, especially if two characters are static and stationary, where you think about a movie where two people are talking across a diner, no problem, because you're not going to get confused. But when people are crossing into the scene, if you establish that I'm talking to you and somebody crosses that window and you just decide to show the scene from a vantage point where you can't see the window and it's over the wrong shoulder, you might think they're coming in the front door. If you establish that the front door is the front and this is the back, so it's oh cool, there's me. And yeah, it's something that I got from SBA in particular, and the storytelling, it gives you some storytelling
techniques to fall back on so you don't confuse people?
I think something that I do in my comics that you also do in your comics is I'm like really big part of the process is like listening to music. And you write about music a lot,
Mhm.
and it's like so in your comics. Um
Yeah, music is massive for me.
yeah, it's like I don't know how else to get ideas. Just wrote a I'm working on a comic right now that's about like Morrissey dying in the 90s. um
Like physically dying, or like his whatever made of Morrissey dying and he was replaced with this
yeah,
alt-right troll.
it's like in a perfect world.
Is he alt-right, or is he more of a traditional conservative fascist Tory?
I don't know. I don't know. I try not to get too involved.
Right. He's amazingly toxic, but not toxic compared with the particular breed of American toxicity that's coming out, where they're just he can't possibly be as smug as like these like MAGA people, but he is like he has like really terrible immigration views.
Um, what?
And he's also transphobic.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like throwing a blank on what his other issues were. What, that's terrible. What is his?
He,
He's
in
is
the
he a
same
TERF?
way that a lot of older musicians talk about going back to men being men and women being women when they were part of the genre of music that really fought against gender roles. That's where he kind of started. And he's British, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very much in the like turfy British like thing of like the NHS is wasting money on like transgender operations and hormones and like yeah, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Oh, cool. Oh, I know I was gonna say, we were talking about the 180-degree rule. Yeah, I've been looking at a couple cartoonists who I love. I was looking at Alex Graham's The Devil's Smile.
Oh yeah.
She breaks it a lot and she makes it work, but it's often kind of shock. It gives you a little jolt. Like have you read that book?
I haven't read it. I read it like on the internet.
There's a scene where there's a woman walking down a hall and there's another woman who hates her walking down the hall too, and they keep on shifting it, but you can absolutely follow it, but it is really jarring. It's like the characters coming out their door and we're looking at the character from the front and the camera goes behind them and they switch positions and right is left and left is right.
I whenever I have to break the 180-degree rule, I usually do something like I'll draw an example like, all right, these are two people talking. This is you and this is me. And then I'll have to show it from above. So this is like a bird's eye view of the situation. And then after that, I feel like because the viewer has like seen it from above or like really, really zoomed out,
Yeah.
then I can put myself on this side because you're like moving around it.
Yeah, that works.
That's my trick.
Yeah. Yeah, Hyena's theory, my partner, she was like, if you have a lot of diagonals, then you can break the 180-degree rule and they'll mesh, they'll just kind of slide into each other, and you can convince people that it is that what you're showing them it'll be convincing. You don't lose that. They don't. You want to take your viewer by the nose and like guide them through the story. And if you break the 180-degree rule arbitrarily, you can lose them. And I even had a student once who was an editor and on documentary, and he said that he used the 180-degree rule in that field. And I said, well, that's weird. You're documenting real life. What do you mean? He goes, well, if we show two people talking, we don't get enough coverage. We might have somebody saying something where they're both looking this way. And like you and I are talking to each other, and she's looking this way, you're seeing her right ear, and I'm looking this way, and you're seeing my left ear. And so if you cut away, you still know if I'm turned towards Ali. And then sorry. And then yeah, he said that they would sometimes not get enough coverage, and so all the shots are from the one side, and they're saying something important, and you don't have any footage. I said, well, what would you do? He said, you have to zoom way in so you couldn't see their faces, you
Oh,
see
wow.
their ears, and you wouldn't have any context. So yeah, you couldn't tell like that somebody's looking to the one side if you don't right on their face.
Yeah, I'm really, the 180-degree rule means a lot to me.
Me too.
I think about it so much. I'm trying to think about like other like conventions that I stick to.
And by the way, if people have questions, feel free to raise your hand if you want to interject anything or ask anything.
Question.
Yeah.
You still using mostly traditional
Uh-huh.
materials? Are you going back and forth, or just 100% what you do?
The only time I really use the computer is if I do something, I'll do the line work on paper, and then I want to color it in after. I'll do the coloring on the computer sometimes, but I don't really use the computer to draw. I like the physical drawing.
Have you tried it? Because I'm listening. Have you tried it? Because I've tried it a little bit. I don't like to go so far. Maybe you don't think you can.
Yeah,
Waste a lot of paper, a lot of materials. It's very expensive.
yeah.
If you have to carry everything with you, it's not practical, but you know what you know, right? So,
Yeah, I tried it a little bit like many years ago on like one of those drawing tablets, and I just really couldn't like get a feel for it. It's something about like the surface. Like I like the way paper feels. And then a lot of people use like iPads and do like Procreate, and they have like some kind of film on the screen that makes it feel like it's paper. And they've really recommended it to me, but I don't know. There's something about paper and pen that just like can't be replaced for me.
and my second question is, what do you distribute your comics mostly online? Do you think most people see your stuff not on paper but electronically? Because you said people know you from Instagram, and being older, I know back in the day, I would go to the Disney Island or some other place to see it somewhere. That's how I saw zines, how I saw outside of comics, but I don't know how people see it now.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, I started making zines when I was in college and like bringing them to Desert Island. And then when I started like the Autobio Comics project, I just started posting them on Instagram. And I was not really like thinking about, making a series or anything or like taking it seriously. But I was just like, if I post these every time I draw one, then I'll keep doing it because I have something to do with it. And then I feel like it gained a following. So a lot of people know those comics from Instagram because they were all originally on Instagram. But I like to make real books too. It's a combination of both.
You think about doing Patreon? Like how people like kind of being done.
Oh yeah. I've thought about it. I want to. It's just like I don't know if I trust myself to be consistent, Like I don't want to let the people down who are like paying. So do you have a Patreon?
No, same reason. I mean, as a teacher, I'm like the most financially stable cartoonist that I know. So I would, because I know people who are 10, 20 times bigger than me and more popular, and they seem to always be, they can't put any savings aside. So yeah, I'd be the last person to do a Patreon. Things would have to fall apart for me as a teacher before I did that.
Yeah, being a cartoonist, I feel like it's just being financially unstable.
Ben Mara and Johnny Ryan are both doing Patrons, and they update every day.
That's
Every
insane.
day. And a complete 4-panel comic, and they're good. No, Johnny's are like 12 panels.
That's insane. That takes me like a week
Yep.
to do like one page.
And Johnny's are like, he just has one $5 tier. He just wants the stuff to be read.
I'm really jealous of people who can draw comics really fast.
And not have it look really ragged too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm kind of curious, how much do you use references like either for human figures or like backgrounds, or is it like a mix of references or just like using imagination? I'm curious.
I feel like there are some things that I use, like there's some things that I have a formula for drawing already. Like people, I've just drawn so many times that I know like what a person looks like, but if it's a specific person, like when I was drawing that comic about Morrissey, I was like, I had to use a reference to make it look like Morrissey. But drawing people that I know in real life, I usually don't use a reference. Then there's things like you know, table, chair, room, my room, things around me, tree, that I have like a basic, like an archetype of, and that helps it become faster to draw, because when I'm like, okay, there's a tree here, like I'm gonna draw my stock tree. But like really specific things I use reference for, like specific places, and it makes it so much easier. Because you could just, I mean, draw from the photo.
I tend to get like hung up in trying to assemble so many references that it gets lost, and it's hard to create something like original feeling, I guess, in that sense. When I'm looking at your work, I really like that it all unified and kind of vision that you have.
Oh, thanks.
That is such a big hurdle to get over, that I think that it's hard to get from art school. How do you, like when I have a new student, I tell them that there's a real sense of cognitive dissonance that goes into making comics. There's what your hand is tending to do on its own. There's what you want to do. There's what you're comparing your stuff to. There's what you're getting from research, and there's what you're getting from memory. And a lot of times they just make you short out. And I feel like everybody from fine artists like Harry Sternberg to people like, you know, to cartoonists, I like Doug Allen or somebody. I just look at their stuff and I'm amazed at how they are able to occupy that sweet spot where it's almost like your stuff is almost like a dream of like reality. It's not 100% locked down. We have every single corner of reality replicated, and that's where you want to be. Yeah, and I try to give my students that trick, and because I feel like I didn't really get it from school.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like kind of a weird comment on something I said earlier. You mentioned that when you first started drawing digitally, the surface of the tablet felt weird. I had the same problem. I still prefer drawing physically, it just felt more natural. But I've gotten more comfortable with time. And one of the things I did when I first started as like my like tricycle training wheels was I took a thin piece of regular paper and taped it to the tablet, so that the surface felt familiar and like there's more traction, so my pen would just slip across like the super smooth slick surface. You know what I mean?
And it still leaves a line.
Well, yeah, because the paper is thin enough that the
the stylus, the tablet's lid was registered pressure,
Mhm.
but I was able to like have more resistance, and also I went online and ordered some different tips for my stylus that were made it like they were like more coarse, but the paper thing really got me through the first week where I was just like really getting a smooth like I couldn't stand. If I thought I'd like make one little go like across the page,
That's really smart.
it just felt physical. It felt more like what I was used to.
Yeah, I think they make iPads now have a surface too, or maybe it's like a layer that you paste down over it that feels more like paper. That's what I've heard.
That's super cool. I've never used an iPad for drawing before because I got like one of the tablets like years ago. I just stuck with it. That's cool.
Hey,
I know everyone's basically like, yeah, so I know that everyone's been saying like how the iPad is like very, it's a right on like a screen that's and everything. But like, I've, I usually draw like, normally on iPad and normally, did you mention that there was like a screen protector that is able to like draw?
Yeah, my coworker told me about this. She's like an illustrator, and I guess yeah, it's like a screen protector that the surface feels like paper.
Yeah, I have that and I use that.
Mm.
And it's if it actually just like it's when you're actually drawing, it feels like actual paper. It's like not